I was around 9 years old when this happened. My parents had been separated for about 2 years. Before I get to the main part of the story, here's a bit of context. My mom, dad, and I were always very poor. At the time, my parents were trying to build a house in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in our city, a place overrun by drug trafficking. But it was all they could afford, otherwise, we'd be on the streets. The house was never finished. It had half-built rooms, piles of construction material everywhere, bare red brick walls with mold and water damage. It was crumbling, much like my parents' relationship in my childhood. My father was violent, unfaithful, and never helped with anything. Then one night, out of nowhere, I woke up to my mom shaking me awake, throwing a jacket over my shoulders, telling me we had to leave. We moved to another city and stayed with relatives for 2 years before coming back. That's when this story begins. My mom and I moved into a small place, a place my father didn't know. We later found out he had been asking around the city, trying to find out where we were. Eventually, he did. I was still very young, and despite everything, I begged my mom to let me see him. A court ended up granting him visitation rights every other weekend, and for about a year, that's what we did. By then, he had a new partner and still lived in that old, decrepit house. I spent weekends there. As awful as the place was, my younger brother also lived there, and we were close. My stepmom had a child with dad while he was still with my mom. My brother is about 3 years younger than me. We'd play in the empty lots, using broken construction materials, rusted furniture, and bottle caps as our imaginary theme park. Company and imagination can save a child's life. My father used to tell me he was going to get my mom back. He told me not to let any man get close to her. At the time, I secretly hoped for a happy family too, even though I liked my stepmother. Truth is, he didn't even really take care of me during those visits. I mostly stayed with my brother and his partner because he was completely incapable of caring for a child. One weekend, something strange happened. It was nearly time for him to return me to my mom. But instead of following our usual routine, he suddenly ordered his girlfriend and my brother to leave the house. She started to protest, but he shouted at her until she left without another word. Then he took me down the hill. The house was on a steep hill, to a place I'd never been before. We arrived at a woman's house I didn't recognize. He introduced us, then told me I'd be staying there for a while. But first, the woman handed me a big glass of chocolate milk, my favorite. She was very nice and smiled warmly as she brought it from the kitchen. I drank it. Very quickly, I started feeling incredibly sleepy. Everything faded to black. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my father's house. My mom was there, screaming and crying. He stood in front of her, panicking, repeating, "Don't do this. Don't do this." She scooped me up like I was still a toddler and carried me outside. It was the middle of the night. The streets were completely empty, but she didn't stop. She carried me all the way to a bus stop, and we waited. Then we left. Years later, I found out what really happened. He had kidnapped me. Instead of taking me to the designated drop-off location, he brought me to another woman's house, a mistress, and drugged me. He showed up to the meeting point alone and told my mom she'd never see me again unless she agreed to get back together with him. Then he walked away. My mom completely lost it. She ran to his house screaming, but he wasn't there. So she waited at the door until he showed up. When he did, she threatened to have the local drug dealers kill him if he didn't take her to where I was, and he believed her. It was late. She was screaming loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear, and he knew she wasn't bluffing. So he went back to the woman's house, got me, and brought me home. That's when I woke up. That's when I saw her, hysterical, terrified, and somehow still strong enough to carry me out of that hell. "Dad, let's not meet ever again,"